Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Character Forge. My name is Tyler Owens, and I'll be your character smith. Joining us again is my lovely wife Lee, who will be our character artist. Today we're going to be making a human male. If you watched last week's episode about our shield warlock, you'll remember that I rolled really well for his stats. And looking back at older episodes, all in all, the dice have been pretty nice to me. And so, I figured, since I'm the same guy who came up with Grumka, I decided to torture myself by seeing if I could do something with a character who only has negative modifiers. I'm not going to roll for stats or anything, I'm just going to assign a score of 7 to all of my ability scores, which will all be bumped up to 8 by being a human. That means we're getting -1 to every single stat. Let's see what we can do with that. I think we're going to take this character all the way to level 20 to see what we can make of them, kind of their maximum potential as a minus modifier character. The only stipulation when we're creating this character is that when we get the option to take an ability score increase, we need to take feats instead. And when we take those feats, we can't take a combination of them that would result in us having a score of 10 or higher on any ability score. Some feats let you increase your ability score by 1 as well as getting some other thing. So if we take any of those, we can't take more than 1 to the same stat, because that would get rid of one of our negative modifiers. The goal is to be level 20 with negative modifiers to all our stats, so we have to be careful which feats we take for that.
If you were wondering if Tyler is insane, the answer is yes.
Well, you're not going to like this next decision of mine. Because, see, the best way I can think of to make this work is to make this guy a rogue.
What?
Rogues get so many abilities which will help us mitigate these negative modifiers.
No. Rogues get those abilities to be awesome, not to fix your wild, crazy, random fantasy of what are you even doing with your life.
Look, what I'm saying is rogues are so good that they can even be good when they have crappy stats. That's what I'm saying.
You don't deserve rogues.
Since you mentioned this last time, I'll mention now. Since rogues only have access to light armor, we're going to have some probably enchanted in some way studded leather armor at level 20. Okay, so we're going to start out our build by taking the average for our health, which means 7 HP for level 1.
What, you're not going to roll?
No, I'm not going to roll this time. I'm just going to take the average. So we get 7 for level 1. Since rogues use a d8, we take 8, the total of 8, -1 for a constitution. And then for the 19 levels we get to level up, that's 4 hit points per level, because we take the average of 5, -1 for our constitution score. That gives us a total of 83 hit points at level 20, which is really low for a level 20 rogue.
My level 15 rogue has 100 hit points.
Yep. To anyone who thinks that Constitution can be a great dump stat, no. Alright, let's see. As a level 1 human, we get to learn Common and one other language. I think we're going to take Goblin for our other language.
He was probably raised by goblins.
Well, yeah, actually I was going to say, we're gonna take the Urchin background, which gives us proficiency in Sleight of Hand and Stealth, as well as proficiency with Disguise Kits and Thieves' Tools. And we already get Thieves' Tools from being a rogue, but we also get it from being an urchin.
Wait, you aren't going to actually have him be raised by goblins, right? That was a joke.
Well, not exactly. We'll get there.
You don't deserve rogues.
As a level 1 rogue, we get to choose 4 proficiencies from a list of 11 total proficiencies. What's important about this is we can be sure to pick 4 proficiencies which are not the 2 that we got from Urchin. Honestly, for reasons we're going to get into, the only thing we need to worry about when choosing these proficiencies is what we want to choose expertise in. Expertise is an ability rogues get at level 1, and then again at level 6, which allows them to choose 2 skills or their Thieves' Tool proficiency, and treat that proficiency bonus as double for those skills. So for level 1, with our expertise, I think at level 1 we're going to want to take Stealth and Persuasion as our expertise, because I think those are going to be really useful in getting out of hairy situations. We already have Stealth from Urchin. Persuasion is one of the skills we can choose as a rogue. Other than that, the other 3 skills we choose at level 1 don't necessarily really matter at this point. At level 1, we also learn Thieves' Cant, which...
Thieves can't do anything when you give them terrible stats!
Thieves' Cant is kind of a language. It's a secret code that rogues can speak, where they essentially pepper in the words that they're actually wanting to say in normal conversation, and through like all these weird things, they're able to convey a message that to somebody who doesn't know Thieves' Cant just looks like they're speaking normally. The trade-off is that it takes a lot longer to say anything in Thieves' Cant than it does in regular speech, because you're just peppering it throughout your speech and all that. So it's a fun little neat ability. We also get Sneak Attack. Sneak Attack is our friend, because Sneak Attack allows us to deal extra damage when we have advantage, or when an enemy of our target is within 5 feet of our target. At 20th level, our Sneak Attack damage is 10d6. This is really nice because, like, with other classes, when they get things like multi-attack, with our negative modifier to our attack, and we get our proficiency too, so it's still going to be positive, but it's going to be less than it would normally be. It's kind of a trade-off of, like, do we try to just hit once and do a ton of damage with Sneak Attack, or, a different class having multi-attack, having more opportunities to hit, but doing a lot less damage. And I think, for me personally, I like the higher risk hit for a lot stronger damage than more opportunities to do less damage. But that too is going to be something we come back to later in the build. At 2nd level, we get the Cunning Action feature. That allows us to use our bonus action to dash, disengage, or hide. All things that can be very useful for our, pretty squishy rogue. At 3rd level, we get to choose a roguish archetype. We are going to choose the Scout from Xanathar's Guide to Everything. At 3rd level, the Scout allows us to move up to half of our speed without provoking opportunity attacks whenever someone ends their turn next to us. I think we're going to mostly use a bow for this character, because of this and another ability that we're going to get later. We're going to make it be a bow rogue here.
The worst kind of rogue for your enemies, usually. Except for in this case, it's just the worst kind of rogue, because everything about this rogue is you don't deserve rogues.
Might as well come up with a name for this guy. We'll call him Desmond. Yeah, this guy's name is Desmond. Let's see.
Desmond or a Desmond?
Desmond with a D at the end.
Okay, Desmond.
Anyway.
That's your name.
At 3rd level, We also get the Survivalist ability, which gives us proficiency and expertise in nature and survival. The proficiencies that we took at first level, we want them to not be nature or survival because we get them here for free. So let's talk about what we're doing in place of our ability score increases. So at 4th level, as well as 8th level, 10th level, 12th level, 16th level, and 19th level, we get ability score improvements, but we're going to take feats instead. For 4 of our 6 feats, we're going to be doing something a little bit outside rules as written, but looking online, pretty much every single DM agrees that the ruling that Wizards has made on this is stupid. There's a feat that's called Skilled, and what Skilled lets you do is take proficiency in a combination of 3 skills and tools. Now, rules is written, you can only take this feat once. But why? I mean, if it makes sense that you couldn't take the same thing you already have a proficiency in. Like, this is not a way to get expertise for other classes. But there's not really a good reason not to let somebody take it multiple times to get more skill proficiencies. Especially since you're trading in ability score increases, which are just really powerful things to have for getting these skills. Most people online seem to agree that there's not really any reason not to let a character take this multiple times. So we're going to take it 4 out of our 6 feats are going to be skilled.
Mind you, if you're in the situation, do ask your DM. Likely they'll say, yeah, whatever. But do ask.
Yeah. So this feat allows us to gain, like I said, 3 proficiencies in either skills or tools. Taking it 4 times will allow us to gain proficiency in the 10 skills that we don't already have.
That's so excessive.
As well as 2 tools.
I know. I already know why you're doing this, and that's still so excessive.
So yeah, after taking these 4 skilled feats, we will be proficient in every single skill. For our 2 tools, let's take the Forgery Kit and the Poisoner Kit. And those just seem like good things for rogues to be able to use.
I was wondering how you're going to end that sentence there. I'm like, there's no way that Poisoner's Kit is good for many things. Oh, no, okay, that's an acceptable way for that sentence to end.
Let's see. For our other 2 feats, let's see what we can take here. I think we're going to take Weapon Master, because as I found out looking at this now, rogues can't use longbows at base. They can only use short bows. And we're going to want to be as far away from combat as we possibly can be while still hitting, so we're going to want that longbow. Coincidentally, it also lets us... Weapon Master lets you take 4 weapons, so we just need to come up with 3 other weapons. I mean, we're going to be using the longbow. There aren't really any other weapons we need, so we're just going to take some joke weapons. We'll give him access to, like... Let's see...
No, just
Is that, okay.
Drawing stuff. Drawing people upside down is hard.
So we're gonna give him access to whips. Let's see. Let's go crazy. Like, I don't even care that it's not even in the setting. We're gonna give him proficiency with the Batleth, which is that really stupid Klingon sword thing.
Okay, hear me out. Sword chucks.
Yes. Okay, yes. That's our third one. I didn't know what I was going to do for third one. Sword chucks. If you don't know what sword chucks are, you need to read 8-Bit Theater. It's a webcomic riffing on Final Fantasy 1 and a whole bunch of other old games.
Sword chucks, swordy, sword chucks.
It's hilarious. So, yes, our rogue has proficiency with sword chucks. The Weapon Master feat also increases either our strength or our dexterity by 1. Doesn't really matter, but because we're a rogue, let's do dex, so our dexterity is now a 9. Still a -1, we're still okay. But that's part of the rules. For our last feat, we're going to take Sharpshooter. This allows us to ignore 1/2 and 3/4 cover when we attack with a ranged weapon.
Being a sniper is not going to help you be any less mean.
It also makes it so that attacking at the long range of the weapon doesn't impose disadvantage. If you don't know, when you're using a ranged weapon in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, the weapon has 2 ranges. There's a range that's called the short range, or sometimes the normal range. When you're attacking at that range, it's just a normal attack roll. There's a second number, and that's the long attack range, which is the distance that you can attack at still, but you now attack at disadvantage. So it's like the weapon still technically fires that far, but it's so far in the weapon's range that it's really hard to actually hit something with it. So Sharpshooter lets us ignore that disadvantage when we're at the long range. The last thing that Sharpshooter lets us do is when we make a ranged attack with a weapon we're proficient with, we can choose to take a -5 to our attack roll to add 10 to the damage. And we have to choose this before we see what we roll, so it's not like we can roll a 19 and be like, oh, actually I can take the -5 hit. No, you have to choose before you roll. We probably wouldn't use this much, but it is kind of nice to have it as an arsenal, or as something in our toolkit in case something happens that gives us advantage on the roll, or anything like that. Okay, let's do some backstory now. Desmond never knew his parents. At least he thinks he never knew his parents, his biological parents anyway. Teresa raised him as if she were his blood mother, but he's pretty sure she wasn't. He's pretty sure the wily leader of the Sly Fox gang had found him one day and decided to raise him to be a rogue from birth. His first memory was of learning to pick a lock when he was 4. His other early memories are running around the city with goblin children and stealing food and all that sort of nice goblin-y stuff.
Goblins are great, and you're ashamed by having them associate with the sad excuse of a rogue.
The real problem was that Desmond, well, he wasn't exactly the best rogue. He wasn't strong, his fingers fumbled with even the most basic of legerdemain tasks. He was constantly a little bit sick and sickly. He wasn't exactly the brightest candle in the room, and he could be pretty naive. And he wasn't exactly a looker either. The one thing that he did have going for him was persistence. He worked harder than anyone else on the crew until eventually he had become one of the most skilled people anyone had ever met. Not necessarily a master of anything, but, he was pretty good, all things considered, at anything he put his hands to. As far as combat went, Teresa knew that she could not send her precious, horribly inept little son to the front lines. No backstabbing for him. So she trained him in the use of a bow, and he was predictably terrible at it at first, but with enough years of practice, like with all things, he's gotten pretty good at it. Since he had the bow of the group, he was often sent off on scouting missions. He got them in some sticky situations at first. Again, kind of was terrible when he started off with it, but eventually he got the hang of it. So this is kind of where he's going to join the party for whatever campaign he's going to be in. He's joining as a contract mercenary. Teresa had a whole bunch of other things going on when the group came looking for a rogue, so she only had Desmond to spare. He is very loyal to Teresa and to the Sly Fox gang, so as long as the contract runs on, he'll do whatever the party needs as well as he can. Let's see. Back to mechanics now. Starting at 5th level, we can use Uncanny Dodge. This lets us use our reaction to halve the damage of an attack that we can see coming at us. That'll be really useful in helping us, with our pathetic health pool and our really low armor class. At 6th level, we get to choose 2 more skills for expertise. We already have Stealth, Persuasion, Nature, and Survival. Let's go ahead and take Deception and Perception. Those will be 2 more that I think will be really useful for, not getting into trouble in the first place. It's
too late. You already exist. Already in all the trouble you could ever want to be.
Let's see. At 7th level, when we succeed on a dexterity saving throw that allows us to take only half damage, we instead take no damage. And if we failed the save and would take full damage, we instead take half damage. So this is another really nice rogue ability that lets us be a bit more, survive a bit more.
This is exactly why you don't deserve rogues.
Let's see. 9th level, we get another roguish archetype feature. This time, we get superior mobility. That increases our walking speed by 10 feet. It would also increase our climbing and swimming speeds if we had them. We don't have them, so that part of it doesn't matter. We just get to move 40 feet per round instead of 30 now. At 11th level, this is the reason why we took proficiency with every single skill. We get Reliable Talent. Reliable Talent allows us to treat a d20 roll of 9 or less as a 10 if we are proficient with that skill. And since starting at level 12, we have proficiency in all skills, we will always roll at least a 10 on the die when we make ability checks, which with our 6 proficiency bonus and -1 to the stat means that at least we will roll a 15 for every stat. Which, for a level 20 character, a 15 isn't necessarily all that great, but a 15 is a really solid roll for, normal, everyday things. Anything he tries, he will be at least okay at it.
You don't deserve rogues.
Let's see, at 13th level, we get another scout feature. The Ambush Master feature gives us advantage on initiative rolls, so that's nice, since we're going to have a -1 to initiative. It also makes it so that every attack roll against the first creature that we hit in the first round of combat has advantage until the start of your next turn. Basically, we hit something, then everything else that hits it until our next turn has advantage. But just for the first round.
Still pretty good, though.
Yeah, it is still pretty good. At 14th level, if we are able to hear, we are aware of the location of any hidden or invisible creatures within 10 feet of us. If a creature is within 10 feet of us, then we're already screwed. But at least we'll know they're there. 15th level, we get proficiency in Wisdom saving throws.
Should have been proficient in that before you made this character.
Let's see. 17th level, we gain our final Scout feature. Sudden Strike allows us to take the attack action as a bonus action. So essentially, it gives us the ability to use have a second attack, which with our bow is actually really powerful. But here's the kicker: this attack can benefit from sneak attack, even if we've already used it this turn.
OP.
I know, right? So we get, our longbow damage plus sneak attack, and then we get to make a second attack as a bonus action, which will also get our regular bow attack plus sneak attack damage. There is a caveat: we can't use sneak attack on the same creature twice in one round. This is another reason why we're going to be an archer. it makes it way easier to be able to attack two separate creatures that both have the setup for sneak attack. I don't know how often I run into two separate creatures that a melee character can attack, that both of them they would be able to either have advantage on or have enemies next to. It happens, but it's much easier to get it set up if you're not having to worry about being right next to them to attack them. Let's see. 18th level. Rogues at 18th level, if they are not incapacitated, it is impossible to get advantage against them. Which, again, really nice for our survivability, making it so that no one can ever have advantage when they're attacking us. And that just...
Obligatory, you don't deserve rogues.
Alright. And finally, at 20th level, we get the feature Stroke of Luck. Wait, what the heck? This ability is just, like, I know level 20 abilities are just OP, but, okay. So this ability lets us turn a miss into a hit. That's okay. Sure. But it also lets us turn a failed ability check into a critical success. You roll something, you fail, you're like, no, actually, not only do I think I succeeded, I think I critically succeeded.
Hey, if you've been wondering why I said that you don't deserve rogues, you don't deserve rogues. They're awesome. They're awesome and you're ruining them.
So that we get to do this once per... Hold on! Once per short rest?
Rogues are awesome and you don't deserve them.
What the heck, man? Jeez, as a DM, I am not looking forward to when your rogue gets to level 20. Jeez.
Rogues are awesome and you don't deserve them.
Alright, well anyway, with that BS, I guess we're done building Desmond.
Hey, don't knock it, man. You're awesome.
I mean, yeah, as a player, that sounds awesome. As a DM, that sounds terrifying. Thanks once more to Lee for drawing our character and being our excellent peanut gallery.
I don't know. Most of my comments were mostly just, you don't deserve rogues, which you don't.
I mean, I feel like that's I feel like that's the only proper response, really, at this point.
Well, okay.
Anyway, I hope that you all enjoyed this build. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss our next episode when we delve into a birth shrouded in darkness. And until then, keep those forges lit.
Hey, quick bonus. Normally, Tyler doesn't see the art I've done until after the episode, and often after I've completed the art. But this one, I think you'll agree with me when I say it's just too amusing to pass up as a reaction. So here is Desmond. Yeah, okay. That's a real Zoidberg moment right there. Yeah, that's pretty... I should have just named him Zoidberg. It's not too late. Anyway, thank you. Gorgeous lit, all that.
Yeah.